Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, we're going to learn a solo blues composition played on electric guitar with a pick, and I'm playing this in the key of E. And I'm going to show you how to play everything that I played in the intro, just break it all down note for note and explain where those notes come from so that if you want to improvise in this style, you'll be able to do that. So I've got this lesson split into two parts. In this video, we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half, as well as access to the tablature and the on-screen tab viewer, you can get all of that by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the lessons page, and do a search for EP198. That's the lesson number for this lesson. So let's go ahead and get started with part one. Alright, so this is a solo composition. That means you can just grab a guitar and a pick, plug into an amp, and start jamming. And I try and create these every so often for electric guitar because there's a shortage of material. There's always this assumption and lesson material that if you're playing electric guitar, you either got a jam track always with you, or you've got another musician, or you're in a band or a jam or something like that. And that's not always the case. So that's why I created this. And this is a blues in the key of E, and it starts on the 5 chord. Now let me explain why that chord may sound a little weird. It's because it's called a B7 sharp 9. You've got that sharp 9 note, which gives it kind of a funky feel. Some people refer to that as the Hendrix chord. But let me show you how to make it. So we're going to take our ring finger and our middle finger and play on strings. We're in the 2nd fret now on strings 3 and 5. Index finger goes down on the 1st fret, string 4. That's just a B7 chord. But then we take our pinky and come up here to the 3rd fret, 2nd string. Just play those middle 4 strings, 5, 4, 3, and 2. That's your flat 9 chord. A really cool sounding chord. So that's the 5 chord in this case. So we're going to start with that chord. And the way that I strummed it is you'll hear a down, up, up, down, up, up. So you're accenting the upstroke. And then I go right into it. And that would be the 1. Okay, so that's how, that's the strum pattern. Down, up, up, down, up, up. Now you could extend that and make it twice as long if you wanted it to be more dramatic. Now where did that come from? That's kind of a Stevie Ray Vaughan style. I've heard him use that, so I kind of associate that with him. But anyway, I just wanted to start with that, and that also gives you a nice turnaround to kind of loop this thing. Okay, so that's how it started. I did twice, and then I switched my fingers here, so I took my pinky off the 3rd fret, 2nd string, and put my ring finger there so that I could come up here and hit this note, which is the 5th fret, 2nd string. And as soon as I hit it, give it some vibrato, and then my pick came down and it did a downstroke on the open 6th string, or the open E string. And that establishes the beginning, or the 1 chord, right? Now, let's talk about where we're at. Most of what we're going to be doing is going to be in this little box here, between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret on string 2 and 1. You got this little box here. Now look at where that box is in relation to the chord so that you can take this and transpose it to other keys. So if you're playing the G chord, you can see your E chord right in there and where that would be. Right? Okay, so a lot of these, so when I started this and came into that, I slid right into that. Now that would be pattern 2 of the minor pentatonic scale. There's 5 patterns, and I go over all of those in the blues lead course. But that's where we're starting there. Okay, so from the beginning, and you can see hitting that low E string really defines it. Now, from there we're going to start the rhythm. This is a really cool rhythm. I use this a lot. I've used it, actually there's another lesson where I used this rhythm years ago. I created one. But anyway, what I'm doing after I hit that low E string is I create an E chord down at first position, and then I do an upstroke, and then I collapse with one of my fingers, either my ring finger or middle finger. Either one will work. But what you're doing is you're creating an A chord by doing that. And then you're coming back to the E. So you're kind of going back and forth between an E and an A. So think of it like the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 1 chord. That's all you're doing. Down, up, down, down, up, down. That's the right hand, right? Now, to give it a little bit of an extra little more mojo, or whatever you want to call it, a little more soul, you hammer on to the 3rd string on the 1st fret each time. So it goes. Hear that little hammer on? It's a subtle thing. Now another thing to mix it up a little bit is notice the timing here. So it's the 6th string, 6th string, 6th string, 6, 6. You can hear it as I'm hitting that 6th string each time I'm calling it out. That's what gives you the timing. And so it's kind of acting as your bass player. Since you don't have one, it's all you. Really cool rhythm. You could do that over just about anything. And then I'll show you in the part 2 video how we switch and do that over the A chord. Okay, so now that we've got a rhythm defined, we've got the intro, and we've got that first lick, which is just one note. Now I can take this thing and play it for hours, just that. Even if you don't get anything else out of this, get that rhythm down, and that little box I showed you, start looking at the licks you can do. And that's what this is all about. It's just learning how to play that, feel it, and then improvise. You have one thing that's your home base, which is that lick, or that rhythm part. But then anything else you do, all those little fill licks, those can be improvised. All right, so from the beginning we have... And then I played this. So that's the next lick. Now, just like I showed you this little box you have here, you also have between the 3rd fret and the open string on the strings 1 and 2. So if you think about it, now you've got that, and then you've got that. So you can do a lot. Now you've introduced some more notes, 2 more notes to those variables. So what this is, it's just the top of minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. So for E, there's your pattern 1 minor pentatonic scale. So your nut becomes kind of, think of your root fret that I refer to in other lessons. So now that we have that defined, that will make this lick make more sense. So here's how you play it. There's a hammer on, so you start with the open 2nd string, or the open B string. Do a hammer on the 3rd fret 2nd string. There's an upstroke on the open 1 string. And then we're going to come to the 3rd fret 1st string and play that note. Now I pushed it a little bit sharp when I hit it. There's an upstroke on the 1 string. And then I came back down, played the 2nd string open, 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and then an upstroke on the 1 string. So the lick goes. Let me do it slowly. And then look at that. My hand is coming up here to hit the chord, so I can go back right back into that rhythm. So practice that lick, and practice it in context with the rhythm. Even if you just have to go back and forth between those two over and over again until you start to get it. Slow it down though. Don't try and do it up to tempo. There is no tempo for this. You're defining the tempo. So that sounds just as good to me. So, all right, from the beginning. Now the next lick goes. Isn't that cool? Now we're right back to that box that I showed you between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret. I'm going to start on the 5th fret 1st string, and I do a full bend there, 5th fret 1st string, and then I come down to the 3rd fret 1st string, and then play the 5th fret 1st string without a bend. And then my middle finger comes down and plays the 5th fret 2nd string. It's kind of a Freddie King thing. And then I'm going to go do a hammer-on between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret on the 1st string. So we have... And then that final lick there is the 3rd fret 1st string. Now the magic in it though, the thing that makes it work and makes it flow is a timing thing. While you're letting that ring out, you come down and hit that low 6th string to start that rhythm over again. Let me do it again. See how that while that's ringing out, it's almost like another guitar player chiming in, and that's really kind of what's happening. It's, well, not another guitar player, but another note is chiming in where it should be. And by holding that note out there, it gives you enough time to reset your hand to come up here and play that low 6th string. Okay, so that first lick. There's the second lick. There's the third lick. Let me show you that one. So this one is this is a little bridge area. That's the way I think of it. You've got pattern 1 of minor pentatonic scale right there. You have pattern 2. And then you've got this little bridge that connects the two. That's how I always think of it, like connective tissue. And so that's what this is. I've got my middle finger. I'm starting here on the 2nd fret, 3rd string, and I'm sliding up to the 4th fret. And then my index finger goes down on the 3rd fret 2nd string. So there's the slide up, and then I do 2 upstrokes like this. And when I'm doing the upstroke, I'm hitting the open 1 string. So you have that effect. And then after that I slid from the 4th fret down to the 2nd fret. Did a pull off there. And then a hammer on. So the pull off is between the 2nd fret and the 1st fret on the 3rd string. And then a hammer on to the 2nd fret 4th string. So all together, it sounds like that. And then I'm down here hitting that low 6th string again to reset the rhythm. So all together. So let's play all those licks now. In fact, let's take it from the beginning. And that's the whole E part. Now, do you notice the dynamics that's happening? That's another really important part that I probably should have been calling out as we do it, but it's like when I play the lick, it's real dramatic and kind of loud, and then I come back to the rhythm and it's kind of quiet. It really defines it almost like a band. It's like the band is playing quietly in the background while you're playing this lead stuff. I guess that's kind of the best way to describe it. Alright, so I'm going to end this first video here. This is a good stopping point before we jump into this A section, but take a look at what you've learned, the rhythm and then the lead parts, and practice those. Make sure you've got your timing right. If you need to set a metronome, that would be helpful as well. But then take it to the next level once you've mastered those and start improvising some other licks. So you know, we've looked at pattern 1 and pattern 2, a few licks there, and there's obviously many more you could do there, but you could also come up and play something higher on the neck. You've got other patterns and other places on the neck, so you could really have hours and hours of fun just with that. Alright, so that's what we have in part 1. I'll see you in part 2.